Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin.
I'm Matt.
Today, we are taking a look at a couple things going on in toys today. First up, we have anything you see wrong here, Matt? Anything we're missing?
Well, and it's been a while since I've watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and by a while, I mean like a week or so. I think that Tommy is missing his armor.
Yeah, looks a little more naked than he usually is. He should have that armor. But where the heck is
shoulders
it?
looking a little rough.
Yeah. So I had that exact question. Where the heck is his armor? What is this? This is stupid. I'm not buying it. My first thought initially right away. However, I did a little research in there, and this is what you get with this. And this is the remastered Lightning Collection they just recently put for pre-order. You cannot. It is sold out currently though in Hasbro Pulse. You can't really get there. Might have some available on Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store, other places. Take a look at those secondary stores, see if you can find them. But you look here, it comes with no shield at all. So that was really what threw me off. However, it comes with a little candle thing. And if you remember, there was an episode where he lost his powers. And so this figure is based on that. And we see here, this is the figure that goes next to it. This is the Red Ranger. And if you remember, Tommy loses his power and the Red Ranger gets the power instead. So, however, when I saw this, I thought, well, that's cool, but I don't want a Red Ranger with the shield, because, I mean, that's not really how he is all the time. It was just a couple episodes.
Right.
So it is really cool. But I already have a Red Ranger, so maybe that'd be extra. However, you look here, you can take that off. So that's really cool.
Right.
The idea that you can have it on him. So that means that if you get them both,
you can buy two to get your one complete Tommy figure.
Exactly. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the face sculpt choice with that one. But I do
I'm never going to have it with the helmet off. Like me personally, like I would display all my Power Rangers with the helmets on.
See, that's what I thought until I got them. And there's times where it's because you got the different teams though. So it's which head you use.
Right.
But I think it's definitely one or the other, but it's fair. It's a fair choice. And if you're not going to do it with the civilian head sculpt, you may as well do the helmet. That'd be totally fine.
Now, Kevin, I have a question for you. What's your stance on, like, and I should say, like, this is relating to your collection, right? What is your stance on in terms of your collection? These like one-off figures, like a figure that is just from one specific episode of Power Rangers, right? Like it's not like that was Tommy long term. That was Tommy for what, one episode? So like they're not the first ones to do it, right? We've had other, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, like probably one of the million Spider-Man variations they've made, but a lot of them where it was only available or it was only present in one episode or one iteration. Is that something that you ever really have a desire to get? Do you have any interest in those one-offs?
I mean, yes, I have a desire to get it. However, I try not to because I don't need it. There was a time where it'd be, ooh, that's cool, and I'd get it. But now with rules that are very important, I don't waste too much money. And by waste, I mean, I don't know if it's really a waste because I want the things, but I should probably use it for other stuff. But or at least that's
house or Lightning Collection.
Exactly. There's choices there. Life is made of choices. But I think for the figure wise, from an economical standpoint, you understand. I mean, I understand because they want to make. It's cheaper because they can use the same sculpt. And like, oh, this is the time he was in the negative zone for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I understand. I think it's cool. I like that they have that because that is a really iconic point. I know that a while ago they did have San Diego Comic-Con. They did release the Red Ranger with the shield on, armor on, just like this. It's similar to this, and it does well. They have the Black Ranger same way, so it's a figure people want. So I think that may as well have it, I guess.
For sure. I mean, they're gonna keep releasing these Lightning Collection. Me personally, only really interested in the Mighty Morphin, but yeah, it's cool for anybody that wants to pick those up and pick up the one-offs.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Are you going to get these two? Or are you just going to get one of them? I really don't see myself just getting one or the other. I'm holding off and hoping to get a cheap Green Ranger, but right now those are going up for upwards of $100 or $150 for just the original Green Ranger figure, not this one. So for this one at like $33, it makes you think maybe you should get it.
Right.
But there has been talk. So this is and I would give credit to this. I found this online, but I don't remember where I got this from. So if you did this or know who did it, tell us in the comments, please. I want to give credits. I'll put that in the details.
If it's yours.
If it's yours, claim it. But we see here the top one is a remastered Red Ranger, and that's from one of the first episode in that set when they're in with Zordon there. And then the other one is the San Diego Comic-Con is the figure bottom left, and to the right is the episode in shortly after that. But you got to think that the one in the upper right, there's people in it, people being. I mean, there's the actors that we know,
right?
And so with that, you got to think that that's probably a different costume, and so the bottom right was probably the original Super Sentai costume.
Yeah.
My thoughts. Anyway, so that's the difference there. So some cool figures released there. We'll see which ones. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get either of those two. They also released the Pink Ranger, but I already have one. So anyway, next up, some really interesting news here. And we have heard. So now we know the Barbie movie is coming out this summer. Not a big Barbie guy myself, but I am a big Beast Wars guy. They're releasing that as well. And if you didn't know, those are two different powerhouse companies: Hasbro with Beast Wars and Transformers, and Barbie is Mattel. So we have those two companies that are potentially having a partnership happening now. Which I think is crazy. What are your thoughts on it, Matt?
Well, I find it interesting because I was reading the first couple things, like what you're saying. Excuse me. The Barbie release, they're doing a Barbie Monopoly game. I'm pretty sure is what Hasbro's releasing for Mattel, and then they are doing a Transformers game of Uno. So it's interesting in a couple ways, right? Like it seems like they're not crossing over the toys per se; they're crossing over the like board games with the regular, and then I think they're also doing some special Hot Wheels for one of the upcoming films or so. So curious to see, one, does this expand beyond just being like for promotional things, like for films that are coming out, or is this going to just be like, you do this board game, we do this toy line, let's combine the two, right? Or are they going to do true crossovers where it's like DC and Marvel or something like that? Like, are they going to do real crossovers? If they do,
sorry, go
ahead. No, I was just saying if they do, it's awesome, right? But
yeah,
I guess just wait and see.
I thought, I mean, because this is just the start, and then, like you said, this is just some board games. Essentially, the intellectual property is being used with the board game that's already been established, which is cool, but not like groundbreaking by any means. Because Barbie Monopoly is cool, and Beast Wars, Transformers, Uno is cool, but like not earth shattering or anything. But I'm thinking if you end up, I'm thinking with like if you haven't seen the Cobra Kai Power Ranger crossovers where you have Cobra Kai as Power Rangers or the Street Fighter Power Rangers, different things like that. Ninja Turtles against Stranger things like I think it would be really cool. Whether Power Rangers, I mean, they've got a lot of crossovers for them. What if we get WWE crossing over with Power Rangers? I mean,
I'm interested in. If you want to give me some WWE Power Rangers, I'm day one pre-ordering the whole entire set.
Which one is the so who is the Pink Ranger then? Which superstar would you put for the Pink Ranger?
I mean, if you're doing Seth, I feel like you got to do Becky too, right?
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
I would say Becky has to be one of the female Rangers. Mm-hmm. So the other one, Charlotte Flair, maybe for the other one, because like you got to do, or Rhonda. I don't want it to be Rhonda, but like you got to think that they're gonna look they don't do too many Ronda figs, but I feel like they like to do the big names. But I would say like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, or maybe Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair would be my top 2 picks for the women.
Would you do heels as the monsters then?
Ooh, just Mr. McMahon.
Yeah. And if you can't see in the bottom left corner there, we do have a unexpected animal adventure happening in my dog there. Bo is looking outside, so it's you're going to see a lot of those. Both of us have animals, and those will happen. So
yes,
an adventure there, side quest. All right. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that happens. There's nothing confirmed, like we said, just the games crossing over with the intellectual properties. So we'll see what happens, but I've got my fingers crossed. I just think that it's something really cool that could come of this. This is the great start of something.
Well, there's been rumors of Mattel and Hasbro merging for years. Like that's been something that's been kicked about, and it would kind of be like a toy monopoly for as far as big companies go. Like obviously, there's a million different toy companies, especially nowadays. There's a million different producers, but those are the 2 big dogs in the business right now. So them working together, if that is at all a signal that they are, kicking around the idea of actually going through with merger, I mean, that would completely shift the whole landscape of the toy industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'm just excited at the possibilities. Speaking of possibilities, recently we saw Hasbro has released pre-order for this thing called the Super-Adaptoid. So I have no idea what he's from. I don't know anything about him. I know he's from Marvel. However, the reason why I wanted to talk about him today is he is a foot tall, 12 inches, which I think is a really cool thing to see. You get this giant figure. I mean, we've seen the Sentinels, we've seen Galactus, and I think it's really cool to see these other 2 here, or this one here, where we can. It's a bigger figure, but it's not the huge deluxe ones. I think that it kind of opens the doors for some stuff.
I mean, it's literally a jolly green giant, right? That thing's huge. I don't collect the Marvel Legends series anymore. I used to collect the Retro Spiderman ones before I went through a culling of sorts. But no, that thing's awesome. If I was a kid and I was, playing with my action figures, I would want one of these guys to be a villain or whatever it would be. Like, again, I'm like you, I don't know this character. I do have what I would say a pretty good Marvel knowledge, but I have no idea who this character is. So it's a cool figure.
What I do know is it's a really cool toy.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a foot tall. That thing's gonna be hefty for a foot tall. Yeah. It's gonna be like the heaviest figure since the Kingpin one that they did for the Spider-Man Retro.
Yeah.
That thing's a weapon.
It is. I got Rhino, also is about that big size. Apocalypse, but none of them reach up to a whole foot. So that's
not a foot.
Cool. It's a whole. It's like a 5 to a foot long. But instead, this is $70.
I want them to do more. Like, side note, just kind of, or not really a side note, but on this note, you know how they make those tall, like 10 to 12 inch figures, and you see them in the stores all the time, but they're always like the cheapest figure, and they're always it's like a multi-pack of like 4, and it's like 4 major characters from an upcoming movie. Yeah, and they have no articulation. It's like WWE basics levels of articulation. I want them to start making like more fully articulated like 12-inch figures. Like if they did a line of like Ultimate Edition styles, but they were like twice as big, like twice the scale. Holy crap. I would be all over those. Like those would be like borderline, like obviously not to the detail of like a Hot Toys, but like that would kind of be like along those same lines in terms of being able to be displayed. So if they ever want to kick the tires on doing something like that, like an actually articulated big figure, I would pay, $40-$50 for that. What's that one retail for? I'm guessing 50,
70. So I'm thinking
Jesus Christ.
Doing more articulation on this thing, they're going to put it for 100, and
that level of articulation is not basic. Like that has good articulation. Like you can see the joints on there. It's not like the crappy like I always see Black Adam ones. Like every time I go fig hunting,
exactly
I
what you
see
mean.
so many Black Adam ones, dude. It's ridiculous.
They're all peg warmers too. I mean, it's not for the collectors. It's for the kids though, and
Yeah.
all the kids will use it and they'll have fun and it'll be great.
I think of those as dollar store toys. Like when I see those, I just think of dollar stores, which is not like. Listen, if you're a little kid, they destroy things. And they're like they're horrible with them. Don't need the articulation. Don't need them to. You want them to be cheap because they're probably going to break it or lose it or whatever. Exactly. So you want them to be the cheap ones. So don't get me wrong. But for me as a collector, like I want, like I'm not going to break it. My dog may eat it, but I won't break it.
Fair, valid point of concern. Yes. So you had mentioned the Kingpin figure that was just as hefty as our Super-Adaptoid. But we did get releases. It has not been put up for pre-order yet. I keep looking and I would like to pre-order it, but I can't yet. But we have the new Green Goblin.
So cool.
Yeah, and Mary Jane Watson figures recently released. I have already pre-ordered from the last set. We had the Dr. Octopus, Captain Octopus. I don't know why I was going to say that. Dr. Octopus and Aunt May, which is recent, which is cool to have an Aunt May figure. This is a great reason to have Mary Jane. Both of these are kind of hard to get in the retro carded lines, but this will be in the VHS style. So it's more accessible for these guys. We'll see. They don't look super cell shaded, so I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do with that. I know that the other ones in the VHS were, so I'm not sure where they're going with that.
I mean, I'll say I think the VHS, like whatever you want to call it, gimmick release line, whatever, that came out is one of my favorite like recent additions because I just think it's like a really cool, interesting idea, especially if you're trying to capture the nostalgia of us, you know, aging millennials and Gen Xers who grew up on those cartoons and those having those VHS tapes. Man, I replayed the VHS tapes over and over and over again as a kid. So it's really it really does touch me in a special way. They're never going to be able to do the DVD versions of those, right? So
no. They'll be
only going to get exactly VHS box tapes, and then we're just going to move to NFTs, I think.
Yep.
So I really like that line, and so that's a really cool. Those are two really important figures for the Spider-Man character. So if you're doing this line, I mean, they got to be top of the list or right towards like top 5, top 10.
And you can kind of see behind me; those are my VHS figures right back there.
So jealous! I don't have any of those yet, and I want all of them. But that's the problem. That's why I don't buy. That's why I don't own any of them. Is because if I buy one of them, I will buy all of them, and I just can't. I'm not in a position financially, or I don't have the physical space to get to that level. I mean, right?
One of the I do like. It seems like they're pairing up the whether it was Aunt May and Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin and Mary Jane. They're really pairing these two. It seems like a trend now of these minor characters that might not sell as well with the ones that will.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder. Maybe next when I get a J. Jonah Jameson, maybe the Flash Thompson, one of these other minor characters that would not sell by themselves.
The Jameson 2-pack.
Oh yeah, I like it. So we'll see what happens with those, but I'm excited to see where that line goes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And also, so that's our Marvel Legends news. But as you hopefully have been following along, we have some updates on the WCW Nitro stage, and Matt there's going to cry himself to sleep momentarily.
I am. This is a failure on all of, and really it's a failure of us as a figure collecting community, especially the wrestling figure collector community. But really, I'll throw the whole figure community at large.
It's all our fault.
It's everybody's fault, right? Like I'm to blame, you're to blame, everyone's to blame. Maybe
I didn't get one.
To an extent is to blame. I don't know. Listen, I was waiting until it got closer, as I'm sure a lot of people did, because it is a big price tag. But like,
it is.
That thing was so amazing. Like that thing just looks so effing good. Like I don't think we're ever gonna get it, right? Like I think,
because
it's not. there's 9 days, right? And they still got to
Yeah.
hit like 3,000 more. That's not going to happen.
I mean, it could. I feel like it's probably not going to happen, but it could. Is my outlook
sure, it potentially could happen. Like they're going to have to throw some extra goodies in there. Like they're going to have to either cut the price a little bit and refund people's money. Although I don't think they charge you until it goes through. But they're gonna have to do something. Like if they want this to pass, they're gonna have to do something about it. And it's disappointing, right? Like I get why it didn't go through, like why it's not gonna meet its goal. It is a big ask. I know there are less fans of WCW Monday Nitro than there are like the WWE, some of the throwbacks. I'm trying to think of the Ultimate Edition ring that they did last year with Doink the Clown and Diesel.
New gen.
Those were the new gen. Yeah, thank you. The new gen one had a lot more fans, although new gen is such a weird time span to do because that's one of the least popular time spans in WWE history. But yeah, man, I'm really bummed. Like I get why I didn't go through. It's a lot. It's more money. It's like double what the new gen ring was. And then it is like a niche 90s thing. But like as you have on here, I think we have a slide that has what all the breakdown of the different levels were. They added, the Scott Steiner to the 5,000, like the first tier.
Yeah, and you can,
the one
if it unlocks, you get Ray and Scott then.
Exactly. Yeah. So you would get the stage, Ray, and Scott. So that's if it gets made, period, right? You at least get those two. If they were to hit 7,000, which obviously that's not going to happen, they're not even going to hit 5. They would have added the Diamond Dallas Page, which is the one that I wanted. Like that was my number one goal, which originally was at 9,000, but they dropped it down to 7 when they put Steiner in with Ray at the 5,000 level. And then Warrior. Yeah. And then Warrior, which I have absolutely zero interest in, is 9,000. And then the Hulk Hogan, which part of the initial push, right? Like if you did the early backer, like first 7 days, that came with it. But now they just tacked it on also to the end at 11,000, which again, not gonna hit.
Well, they did that poll to see which one people wanted. So I think it's a good sign that they're listening to their fan base. And I think that it's a good sign with that. We'll see if it all goes through, but
I need a DDP with jeans and rib tape. But yeah, man, like it's such a bummer because that stage is awesome. I totally would have bought one and displayed it, but at the very least, I want those ultimates. I want the Scott Steiner, I want the DDP. The Rey Mysterio, I mean, there's a million Rays, so that's not something that I'm super necessary. That's not something that I really need to get, but that is kind of a different era Rey Mysterio. They've only done a few of those. So that would be cool. But yeah, it's a shame that it's not going to happen. I really hope that this doesn't detract them from taking any more big swings in terms of creations for WWE. And I really hope they release some WCW stuff soon because that is one thing. Like it looks like they're expanding kind of their idea of what the Ultimate Edition line can be, and now they're starting to loop in more retro stuff.
They've got the Ruthless Aggression stuff coming out soon, along with the Monday Nitro stuff.
Like I'm eating up the Monday Nitro stuff. I'm a WCW mark. I'm eating up the Ruthless Aggression stuff because I'm a Ruthless Aggression mark. But bummer that this isn't going to work, but I hope it doesn't detract them from taking more swings. And hey, maybe there will be a last second push. Maybe they'll tack something else on, or maybe they'll add an extra week or whatever. Maybe they'll try to get across the finish line, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm excited about the possibilities if it does back, what they could do after, but we'll see. You gotta get to the 5,000. So we'll see if it makes the finish line.
Guys, I know not even 3,000 people are going to watch this, but if they do, I need each of you. Just a small favor to me, your friend Matt, your new friend Matt, as a small favor to me. Please get the $400. Whatever you got to do, donate blood, rob from your parents, steal a car radio or something, whatever you need to do to get that $400 and pre-order this because we need it to hit 5,000 and really we need it to hit 7,000 because we need EDP. So really we need 5,000 of you to just create chaos across your communities and make this happen. So it's in your hands.
So to be clear, please do not do anything he just said. But if you can afford it, go ahead and back it. Trying to avoid legal action here.
Well,
anarchy.
Don't take me seriously in the first place. That's the first mistake. If
it's
you do,
it's a toy podcast video thing. So don't.
Yeah.
It's not taken seriously to begin with. So be aware.
Correct.
All right. So let's. I think we each got a couple figures here recently this week here. So do you want to go first and show us?
Sure. I do have two, but I only got them because the other one I already put in the display case, and it's a real pain to get out of there.
What was the one you put in the display case?
So the one in the display case is the Triple H Funko Pop, the D-Generation X that came with the pin. That was a GameStop exclusive. Came out last year, I want to say. I bought the Shawn Michaels on clearance or on sale, whatever, like a few months ago. It was a little bit ago. And ever since then, I've been kind of hunting for that Triple H and just waiting till I got a good deal on it. Because I had run into it a couple of times, but nowhere where it was also at a good price. So today, I was at my GameStop. They had it. It was on sale, and I had a coupon for $5 off. I said, you know what? I need this. I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Listen, I'm a big believer in, like, I create rules, right? Kevin talked about them earlier. I think it's really important to have collecting rules, unless you just have an unlimited budget, in which case, kudos to you. But for those of us that
it's all about money.
Exactly. For those of us who don't have the space or the money for that, we got to have these rules. And so my personal rules for the most part are typically, unless it's like a pre-order, right? Typically I will, I want to hunt for the figure. I want to find it on the shelves. I want to find it in the wild. And if it's something that I have multiple chances at, like if it's something that I think will be readily available, then I will also try to get a good price on. So that's kind of part of the hunt for me. And that's also the way that I can explain it away to my wife in a way that she doesn't get angry. So it's kind of best of both worlds. But yeah, so I found a good deal on the Triple H. Another thing that I got a good deal on, which will show, is this old WCW Goldberg. Here, let me get it so it's not in the light.
What line is that from?
Atomic Elbow.
What line is that from?
What? This is the this is the original San Francisco Toy Makers line that they did. This would have been one of the first Goldberg figures. I mean, this was 1998, right? So we're like right at like getting into the beginning of Goldberg, because this was before they did like the full like Smash Slam lines, and before they started giving them slightly more articulation, because like literally all this one can do, if it was out of the box, is like raise his arms up and down, and then he twists it like the hip and his arms, and like that's it. It's like very limited articulation, but like I said earlier, a WCW mark. I am a mint on card WCW mark, unless it's NWO related, in which case I do have some Lucy's for NWO. But I'm also a hoe for carding, right? Like I want to make sure the carding is at least decent, right? Like I know it's really hard to get super mint carding for some of these figures, but at the very least, I just want to make sure that it is, there's no yellowing on the bubble, there's no like rips on the corners or on the edges. I'm okay with some bends depending on the figure. Like there are some figures, if it's a newer figure, I'll be a little more key, because it's like I know that I'll have other chances to get this. But that was something that I won't buy online, so I'm not going to pay like some crazy markup for some super minty one. I found it in the wild at what I think is your and I's favorite toy store here in town. And shout out to TNT Collectibles. And I just was like, you know what? I can't leave empty handed. Like every time I step foot in that store, I have to. I'm supporting local business. I'm supporting small business. Is what I'm doing. If we really want to get into it, I'm community minded. Like I'm trying to help my community have more toy stores. So
you're doing a service to the world.
Exactly. I should honestly get like some tax dollars or something. Like there be a fund, like a fund that I can use to buy collectibles from more toys. Right. I mean, I say collectibles to make it sound fancy. But yeah, toys, definitely toys for sure.
Figures, if you will.
Figures, yeah. But that was what I picked up this week. How about yourself?
That's really cool. So I'm usually not a big WCW guy. I didn't start watching until early 2000s. But I do also have a wrestling figure. We spoke of rules, and this doesn't match any of the rules that I have. But
It's
he's awesome.
Hollywood Hogan.
It's Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I was watching the old Nitro the other day, and he was on there, and I thought, I need one of those. And then I saw, I looked online, and it wasn't great pricing. But then I saw it posted online, social media, TNT Collectibles posted about it. They had one, and I saw the price, and it was good. So I went and got it, and it's mine now. So I'm going to open this up eventually, but I've got the Ric Flair one. So I'm not getting all these. I did take a gander at like the Mankind one. I thought maybe, but like Ted DiBiase, I don't care. Papa Shango, I don't care.
I was saying Papa Shango. You want?
What was that?
I bought the so I have the Hall and the Nash opened. I bought them new and then opened them, which is something that I do not do often. But I made an exception for them because I wanted to display them. I have like NWO like an NWO. I don't want to say it's a whole display case, but it's like an NWO shelf in a display case. And it spills over into a second one. It will eventually be the whole case, but we're just not there quite yet. Anyways, I opened those, displayed them, and may eventually get them into on card as well, because I have a horrible habit of as soon as I open a figure, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like I open it and I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I just open it? So I may end up getting another set of them down the road if I can get a good deal. But yeah, those are awesome. Paul and they come with like Wolfpack hands. Like it's awesome.
They come with the belts too, right?
Wolfpack. Yeah, they come with the belts.
Hogan has his up to the back here.
The accessories that those because when I first saw those Superstars figures and saw that they were charging $20 for them retail, I thought that was a bit. Yeah, I thought it was a bit much. I was like maybe 15 was kind of what I was thinking. Which I have been able to pick. I picked up the Hall and Nash for 15 a piece at Walmart, I think.
Nice.
But
before
I thought it was a little bit high. Yeah. And the accessories that you're getting and like as cartoony as they are, they do have detail. They're really cool figures, and Hollywood Hogan is like one of the coolest TV characters of all time, as I've said before. And I will say on every episode of this podcast.
That's good. Good.
And you keep going with your purchases, and then I have an addendum.
Or you'll keep going for your love of the NWO. I'm really into wrestling. For life. Unrelated to wrestling, I recently got this Lightning Collection Pirantis, I guess his name is. Pirantishead.
That's dope.
He's really cool.
That's awesome.
So I got this because when I was a kid, I had the 12-inch version of him. And one of his little fin ear things fell off, I remember, and we had to super glue it. But I had this giant 12-inch one as a kid, and I was, like we mentioned earlier, rough with it as kids are with toys, and broke it. So this one is my adult version of it. So that's why I
keep your toys mint on card back then.
No, I didn't. No, I'm gonna open this one up. This one, my Lightning. Honestly, I don't keep the only things I keep mint on card are those VHS ones back there. But I just like opening and displaying them. That's me. I feel like there will be something wrong with the carding, and then that's going to drive me crazy. And so I just let it go. I don't even have the opportunity for it to be a problem. So
I'm a package mark. I think part of an underrated or undersold part of figures is the box, right? Like the box art. And I think that's something that especially the 90s, dude, we were at the peak of box art. I don't think box art was ever as good as it was in the 90s, except for the retro, the reproductions of the 90s figures is an updated version of it, so it's even better. But the 90s, cartoony, just the different designs they did, and it was just really cool. I'm a sucker for the box art. So since most of my mint on card collection is WCW related from the 90s, I love that. I just love the carding, and it's part of the display and the figure. You can see the figure completely, not like these stupid new no plastic ones. Which, listen, I'm all for being green and being good for the environment. There's got to be a different way. There's got to be a way that is good for the environment and does not have all cardboard.
Yep. Well, luckily, Hasbro has announced they're stopping that, so they'll use some eco-friendly plastic. So that's
good. That's all you had to do. Why did you ever not do that? Like, what idiot in that office was like, I got it, guys.
We're gonna save the
make
turtles.
It so we can't see him. And then don't worry about the fact that they could, buy a figure, take out the new figure, put in an old crappy figure, reseal it, return it to the store, and nobody would be the wiser because the store doesn't check if it's still taped. Like, and that's not their job, right? Like, I don't, that's not on the store. That's on the toy maker. Like, that's on the manufacturer. I don't expect Target to go through every single box return and make sure, because what if it hadn't been on and you're just ripping open a box for no reason? Like, I don't know, it was a stupid idea. I'm glad that they are going away from it. Whatever. That's unrelated, but that's my tangent.
So, so why don't you let us know? Go and comment below what pickups you had this week. Did you get anything good? Did you get any Lightning Collection or wrestling stuff, or did you do a Marvel Legends or something else? Let us know.
And next week, I may have a Grail pickup.
Ooh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, well,
leave a little suspense. Leave a little suspense for the.
Yeah,
for the
no. All I'm gonna say is I've been making eyes at this figure at TNT for a few weeks now, and it's a figure that I've made eyes at for a long time, right? Like, it's been on my list of.
I'm not gonna say it, but I think I know.
I think you know what it is, but it's been on my list for a long time, and I've never figure on it. And the one at TNT is pristine carding, which I'm a sucker for, as I just said. And it's a Grail figure, and Landon's always got it at good prices. TNT is the place to be if you live in the area. But yeah, so I actually may have messaged him earlier tonight and been like, because I was there earlier today and I was looking at it again and I was like, I need it. So I messaged. I'm a crackhead. I
messaged him for the price on this one.
Yeah. Well, I messaged him for like stuff that he posts on Instagram. I messaged him about those. But no, that one I messaged him and was like, listen, will you pull it for me? Just don't sell it until Friday, because I will have more funds on Friday, and I can like, I have the funds for it now, but I'll have more funds on Friday and I will feel less bad about it. Yep. So I'm like, if you can just wait till Friday. And he was like, oh yeah, no problem. And I was like, oh, thank God. So that is probably going to be a thing on Friday.
Well, I'm excited to see what it is. Hopefully that works out. So it was a little cliffhanger for us. But thank you for joining us. Again, let us know in the comments what you picked up and what you think about the stuff we discussed today.